Hi everyone, welcome to Anu's classroom. We are doing the course on strategic management. And so far we have looked at what strategy is, how do we analyze our environment, the organizational environment, both internal and external, as well as that of our competitors. In order to formulate proper strategy, we looked at various ways in which we can formulate strategy at different levels like business level, corporate level, and such. And we also have started looking at how we can implement our strategies. We talked about the behavioral dimensions as well as the importance of corporate governance. In this video, we are continuing our discussion on how to implement and control our strategy. Mainly, we in this video we will be discussing on strategic control processes and the importance of strategic control in evaluation. We will also discuss the different methods that are used in the control process and the follow-up action for control. By the end of this video, I hope that you will have an understanding on the strategic control processes like the operational controls, the performance controls, even an understanding about functional strategies. I hope to drive in you the importance of strategic control in evaluation and different methods that are used in the control process, and also understand the analysis and follow up actions that are needed for controlling our implemented strategies. So, without wasting much time, let us get started. So once we have analyzed our environment and we have formulated our strategy and implemented it, once the implementation of strategy is completed, our organization and we as strategic managers will look forward to achieving the desired goals and objectives that we had in mind while we were formulating our strategy. But the thing is that strategy, as we have discussed in our earlier videos as well, is that strategy is not something that you can prove. Okay, it is a theory which you hope that will work out, and you are trying to implement that theory and see whether that theory actually does what you hope it will do, right? Sometimes it may backfire, sometimes it may work, but whatever it is, we have to closely monitor our implemented strategy and its performance in the real world scenario. So what we will do is that once we monitor it and we see that at any point of time our strategy seems to deviate from our uh, what you can say predetermined path to our goal, or you think that this strategy is kind of like backfiring on us because of the new developments that we have right now in the environmental factors around us, then what we have to do is we have to control the strategy and bring it back on track, make modifications to our theory ad hocly, right? And bring it back on track so that we can finally reach our goal. So it is very much necessary to introduce the process of strategy evaluation and control in the early stages of strategy implementation itself, and see whether the strategy is successful or not, and to carry out any mid-course correction whenever necessary. Like for example, you think that you put yourself in the shoes of a strategic manager for some ABC chocolates. Okay, so uh, so you want to let's say raise your sales for chocolates for this coming quarter. Let's say that is your that is the goal that you have to achieve. So you are going about promoting a lot about how good chocolate is and things like that. Okay, but something happens in the environment and it is noted that let us say this is a hypothetical example. Okay, let's say that the demographics that you are targeting, okay, your target market segment right now, we are seeing an increased number of diabetes in children, let's say, and there are hospitals and other what you can say non-profit organizations and um, clubs like that who are trying to once you have started implemented your strategy, they are trying to get people aware about how chocolate is not actually that good for you. So then that is a challenge for you, and it could deviate, it could make what you can say it might affect your strategy, as in it might pose a challenge or hindrance in you achieving your goal with whatever strategy you are doing. So once you see that okay, there are forces like this, the external environment has changed a little bit since we started implementing the strategy, then maybe you will have to revamp your strategy, maybe you have to revamp your products and make them like, maybe you'll have to market them as sugar free or dark chocolate variety, something like that, and cover or you can say not cover up, modify your strategy so that at the end of the day or at the end of the year you actually achieve your target of increasing the sales. Okay, so a lot of factors are have to be involved or have to be considered, like if midway you are changing or you're adding new products to the product line, then there is additional costs involved and all those things have to be taken care of. But For our course, because we are dealing with strategic management, let us assume all the other costs to be zero and let us only purely focus on the strategy part of it. Okay, so that is the I hope right now that you have understood why we have to have control, even why after implementing strategy, why we have to evaluate how our strategy is performing and control and correct, course correct wherever necessary. So, what are functional strategies? The strategies have to be ultimately translated into business operations, right? So, whatever theory you have, whatever strategy plan you have, ultimately you have to break them down into executable steps and measurable, what you can say, measurable variables, so that you can execute those steps and measure those variables in order to proceed with your strategy. So the functional policies provide those guidelines to operating managers so that the strategies can be implemented, the decisions can be made effectively, and if at all there are any similar situations that arise in the future, they can be handled consistently, and coordination across functional units also can take place. The functional policies should be comprehensive. They should not leave so much choice to operating managers that they work suboptimally or at cross purposes. So it should be very clear cut. It should be like, putting an eye blind on the horse. Okay, functional managers, they are supposed to do that particular function. The crazy thing about choice is that too much choice you get confused, and too little choice you get frustrated. So it is always what you can say, a challenging thing to know the right number of choices that you can give a person, right? Too few and you miss out a lot, and too many and you completely confuse the person whom you are giving the choice to. So that is the same thing that happens when we are implementing strategy also. At the functional level, as we break down strategy into functional activities that are to be taken up and carried out by the actual low level managers and the lower level employees, you should make sure that they are clear on what they have to do, and there is not many rooms for them to deviate from the overall plan. Because the thing with lower level managers and lower level employees is that they may not know, definitely they wouldn't know what the bigger picture is. Okay, because they are only concerned with that one particular task. Think about your accountants. Okay, think about your IT staff. They may not know exactly what your overall strategy is at the corporate level. Okay, so what happens is that since they do not have that bird's eye view on the bigger picture, they will only think on their narrow scope, and they may and their actions, if they start to think freely a lot, might happen is that their actions may actually cause hampering or hindrance to our actual global strategy. It might go against it. Okay, not always, but there is a chance that it might go against it. So functional strategies, they should be, and functional policies, they should be comprehensive, and they should not leave a gap so that the operational managers um, don't cross purposes. At the same time, these policies should also be flexible enough to leave room for managers to quickly respond to situations and make exceptions for good reasons. The organization should have policies in every major aspect of business, at least in the key functional areas. So, the strategic control process. We talked about how control is necessary, functional strategies. Now, let us talk about the strategic control process, exactly how we control our strategy. So, the evaluation of strategy. Once, if we have to control something, we need to first evaluate how it is performing. Only then we can control it. If once we evaluate, we will know whether it is over or underperforming, right? And based on how it is performing, we can do the controlling. If it is overperforming, we can bring it under control. If it is underperforming, we have to boost it, right? So definitely we have to start with evaluation. So the strategic control process is closely related to strategic planning process also, and the process consists of mainly three phases. That is, first we need to what you can say, take note of what are the criteria on the basis of which we have to evaluate. Like for example, if our goal is increase in sales, that naturally our evaluation criteria should be the number of units sold per day or number of units sold per market or region, something like that. And then we have to do the performance evaluation, and once we do the performance evaluation, we can uh, think about the appropriate control methods that we can apply. So what are the control methods we can apply? There are many different types of control methods that we can apply, and some of them we will learn here. So let us first look at the operational controls that we can apply. So operational controls are those kind of controls which actually measures or controls the operating activities. Like maybe it is the financial control or the budgeting, or the management by objectives, which we have learned in semester one, also in other subjects. and as well as time control. So let us look at a little bit in depth and each of these different operational controls. So first is financial controls. So these financial controls are control techniques which are required by the organization in order to properly control the financial accounts or the financial aspects of the strategy. So for that we have a lot of techniques, lot many techniques for financial control, like we have PERT, we have CPM, we have budgeting, we have auditing, DuPont charts and things like that. So budgets, as we all know, they are one of the most widely used control methods, right? And it plans on how we can use our income and and how we can use our income to meet our expenditures and such things. And then we have audits, which is also another method for controlling our finances, wherein we check what you can say, how we are obtaining funds and how we are using putting it to use and things like that. Again, management by objectives is not something new to us by now. Time critical methods like the PERT, CPM and all also can be used. PERT is the program evaluation and review technique, and CPM is the critical path method, where we find out the critical path to be what you can say the most critical path which we can take, and then from there we start evaluating the different what you can say the ups and downs of the other paths. So once we have identified the measures that are relevant for assessing the success of strategy, the next important thing is to set the standards against which we can what you can say measure the actual performance. And the standards of performance could be any, like it could be historical standards, wherein we compare the present performance with our past performance, or we may compare ourselves with the existing industry standards, wherein the organization's performance is measured against similar other organizations in the industry, or we can even go for present standards, where our goals and targets are decided by organization's management to be achieved in a particular period. So in case you like our videos, do consider subscribing and hit the notification icon so that you don't miss another update from our channel. And do consider sharing about us in your friend circle and help us reach more audience. So let us look at how we can analyze and decide upon the follow-up action that is needed after we evaluate our implemented strategies. Once the actual operations start, okay, that is once we actually start implementing our strategies, then we start getting the information about the actual performance of the strategy. And this information we will collect periodically, and we will compare it with the standards that we are setting. So either it could be the past performance or comparable industry, other organizations in the industry and so forth. If this performance is unsatisfactory, then we can take two courses of action, right? So the responsibility center manager may be asked to improve the performance, or if it is not possible, then the target or standards of performance may be revised, right? So if we see that our strategy, our implemented strategy is not going as planned, then what are the two things that we can do? One, whoever is our strategic manager, whoever is in charge of implementing the strategy and controlling it, we can ask them to do the corrective measures in order to improve performance. If that is not possible, like for example, if it, in the case of theaters, if once there was wide lockdown, no matter how much you pressure the theater owners, when the government has itself declared lockdowns, they cannot do anything about it, right? So over there what happens, it is that the performance, no matter how much you pressurize your responsibility center manager, they cannot improve the performance. At that time, what can we do? We can either revise our target, or we can revise the standards of performance. So those are the two follow-up actions that we can take once we analyze our actual performance of the strategy. This evaluation and control reports may also be of two types. That is, it could either be motivational or economic. And from the control point of view, these reports must be timely. Otherwise, corrective action may not be possible. If it is too late, uh, if we get the report too late, then naturally we will not be able to apply proper control because the time has passed. Now, there are a few problems also associated with these control systems, and some of them are that they may not be in consensus on the criteria for measuring the effectiveness and efficiency of the strategy. The reporting data may be invalid. Performance norms may be biased or based on outputs on which the relevant business may not have control. Performance standards may be set with inherent contradictions. Employees may consider the system to be unfair and therefore may not accept it. Overemphasis on measuring short term performance may make managers forget about the actual strategy which they had inherently decided to implement, right? And it is very difficult to set a very good, average, or poor levels of performance in situations where outputs are actually not very tangible. Now, there are a few different types of strategic control methods that we can implement. Some of them we will discuss here. One of it is premise control. Premise control is intended to examine whether the premises on which a strategy is based is still valid in a systematic and continuous manner. Special alert control is a particular alert control that is rigorous and quick in consideration of an organization's plan in response to an instant or an anticipated incident. Implementation control is a sort of strategic control that must be implemented as events develop. Strategic thrusts or products and milestone reviews are the two forms of implementation controls. Strategic surveillance is intended to monitor a wide variety of events, both within and outside organization, that are likely to have an impact on the direction of our business strategy. Now, we talked about operational controls, and now we just now talked also about strategy controls. There is a difference between the operational control and strategic control, and we can differentiate them on the basis of a few parameters. First of all, let us look at the nature. The nature of operational control is that it is routine operations that are being done as per the goal of the organization, whereas strategic control is the formulation and implementation of strategy. Operational control always works on a feedback method. You implement it and then you receive a feedback like that. But strategic control is feed forward because you have a theory and that is what you are implementing. Operational controls are done at the functional level, whereas strategy control is done at the top level. Operational controls are action oriented, whereas strategy control is futuristic. It is a theory which we hope will get us to where we want, right? And operational controls monitor the efficiency level, whereas strategy control monitors whether organization is aligned with the goals and objectives or not. Operational controls are generally done internally, whereas strategy control deals with controlling of the external environment, or what you can say, if we cannot control it, then adapting to the external environments. The aim of operational control is efficiency, whereas strategic control is effectiveness. Operational controls are generally short term, whereas strategy controls are long term because strategy is not short term. And the operational controls focus on individual tasks, whereas strategy control focuses on the strategic management process. So that is it about controlling strategy. I hope you are clear about the control methods and the process of strategy control by the end of this video. If you did, and if you found this video useful, do give us a thumbs up, and if you did not, let us know about it by giving us a thumbs down. Until I see you in the next class, see you and take care. Bye bye.